For decades, sightings of unidentified flying objects have sparked curiosity, skepticism, and fascination across the globe. From government reports to personal accounts, the mystery of UFOs continues to captivate both believers and skeptics alike. In this episode, we'll dive deep into the history of UFOs and tell you some chilling accounts of personal experiences. So buckle up, because we're about to take you on a journey through the unexplained world of UFOs. I'm Sammy.
And I'm Nicole.
And we are Spooky Sleuths. Hey guys. Hello.
Welcome back to Spooky Sleuths.
This week we're talking about aliens. Let me put my tinfoil hat on.
That's pretty cute. I feel like we need some down here for whenever we start talking about the conspiracy theories and stuff.
We do. Like one of our special guests has.
Yeah, we'll have to put it in order for some tinfoil hats.
Yes.
So Sammy, tell me all about the UFOs. Try and make me a believer. Not that I don't think we're the only things in creation. You just are like diehard UFO believer.
I think it is very much like us of humans to believe that we are the only intelligent life forms.
Right. Like I don't think that we're the only intelligent life forms. I just think there's a lot of people that think they've seen aliens and abducted by aliens that are just crazy. Not your stories that you've told me.
I mean, I'm crazy. That's fair. Anyway, let's dive in. UFO is a very generalized term for any unidentified flying object. What we're talking about today, though, is not the neighborhood boy's drone flying over your house.
Or Starlink.
Or Starlink. We've had a lot of those reports in our area.
The coolest one, though, was whenever Starlink showed up on Christmas Eve and everyone said it was Santa Claus and
yeah,
kids loved it.
Yeah.
But yeah, not a UFO, just Starlink.
But we're talking about extraterrestrial life visiting Earth. UFOs and stories of aliens have been talked about for thousands of years, even back in ancient Egypt.
It's been a thing forever.
A long time.
I'm impressed it's not in the Bible.
Right? I feel like some people have interpreted different things in the Bible as relating to UFOs, but I don't know. I've never read the Bible, so I can't speak to that.
But that's a different take, though. We might have to look into that.
Yeah. The Tulli Papyrus, a document dating back to around 1500 BCE, describes strange fiery discs in the sky, objects that flew erratically and even emitted sparks. Could these be the first recorded UFO sightings or something more common?
I can see that. I mean, I don't think they just showed up in the last 20 years.
Right. There is a pseudoscientific set of beliefs around ancient aliens even. This belief is that aliens, or alien astronauts, have visited Earth. These aliens were in contact with humans in prehistoric times. According to this theory, the aliens helped prehistoric humans develop modern cultures, technologies, religions, and even influenced human biology. This theory also proposes that most religious deities are extraterrestrial, evidenced by the advancements in technology. While most scientists give no credit to this theory, It is fun to think about.
Yeah.
I also am a firm believer in aliens, meaning, the government has basically confirmed it at this point.
But in the ocean, right? Like they said there was aliens in the ocean there.
No, they have really released stuff about like actual documentation.
Oh, yeah. I just meant recently.
Yeah, even recently, the government has confirmed we have aliens in the ocean. I think it was NASA confirmed it or something.
Yeah, something wild, believable, because we've barely investigated any of our oceans.
Right. We should go alien hunting.
Kaylee said we need to get our diver's license. She'd take us.
I can't swim. You both know CPR, I guess. That's a good thing. Enough about my bias, though.
At least we admit the bias.
Let's fast forward to ancient Greece, where historical records describe flying shields and other odd sky phenomena. The Roman historian Pliny the Elder, in his book Natural History, mentions fiery shields in the sky that could be interpreted as UFO sightings. Some scholars have suggested that these accounts might be early attempts to explain natural occurrences like meteor showers or comets. But even in these ancient times, the idea of beings or phenomena beyond human understanding was beginning to take shape. As centuries passed, the mystery of strange objects in the sky continued. In the Renaissance, explorers and scientists began observing the heavens more closely, and a new era of astronomical discovery was born. But even during this time, reports of unusual celestial phenomena persisted. For example, in the 16th century, astronomer Tycho Brahe,
That was beautiful pronunciation.
also, he recorded a bright star in the sky that was far brighter than any known celestial object. This object remained visible for months. Was it a comet, a supernova, or something else entirely?
Weird to me that it remained there for months.
Like it was just watching.
Learning.
In the 17th century, as telescopes improved and knowledge of the stars and planets expanded, scientists like Galileo were able to document...
Galileo, Figaro, Magnifico.
Beautiful.
Thanks.
They were able to document more sophisticated observations of the heavens, yet reports of mysterious aerial objects persisted. The term UFO wasn't coined yet, but people still looked up and wondered if they were seeing things from beyond the Earth. It wasn't until the 20th century, however, that UFO sightings became a global phenomenon. The early years of flight saw the development of aviation, and with that came new possibilities for encountering strange things in the sky. But it was the 1940s that truly marked the beginning of the modern UFO era. In 1947, a pilot named Kenneth Arnold had an experience that would change everything. While flying near Mount Rainier in Washington state, Arnold reported seeing 9 crescent-shaped objects flying at high speed. He described their motion as like saucers skipping across water, which led to the popularization of the term flying saucers. The press picked up the story, and suddenly UFOs were in the public consciousness. Shortly after Arnold's sighting, the infamous Roswell incident occurred in New Mexico. A rancher named W.W. Brazel found a strange 200-yard-long wreckage near an Army airfield in Roswell. It was reported in the media as the remains of a flying saucer, but the military said it was just a weather balloon. Of course.
They did. I mean, what else are you going to...
Those like SUV-sized drones that were flying over the country a couple months ago, they tried to say were weather balloons. I've never seen a weather balloon, to be honest with you. So, I mean, very well could be, but I don't believe it.
Or they made up weather balloons to explain.
Maybe they're not real.
Right?
Oh my gosh. My conspiracy theory head is just like filled to the brim. It's going to burst. The picture posted by the media did not support the military's claims that this was a weather balloon.
Of course
not. And so the conspiracy theories began. In the present day, over 50 years since the incident, the military states that the wreckage was part of Project Mogul, which was a top-secret atomic espionage project. Of course it was secret.
That's why we couldn't tell you about it.
Gosh. The theories were further fanned in the 1950s because the military had a strange drill, I guess you could call it.
Okay.
The Air Force was testing new ways for pilots to survive falls. So when the Air Force was spotted quickly picking up dummies with latex skin and aluminum bones, which looked very much like the media's depiction of aliens, the theories that the public had were just reinforced.
Oh, that's almost like here's your proof.
Right. In the 1950s and 60s saw an explosion of UFO sightings and interest fueled by the culture climate of the time.
The media, is that when all the movies and stuff were coming out about aliens there starting out? I think that was more 80s, 90s probably. Okay, anyway, sorry.
The Cold War and fears of atomic warfare created a sense of uncertainty, and UFOs were often seen as a symbol of something beyond human control. This era saw an unprecedented number of reported sightings. The UFO sightings grew in the 1950s and 60s, So the government launched several official investigations to study the phenomenon. The most notable of these was Project Blue Book, a top secret study by the U.S. Air Force that ran from 1952 to 1969. Nice. Project Blue Book actually started out as Project Sign in 1948.
Wait, so we landed on the moon and they're like, okay, no more investigating.
When did we land on the moon?
1969.
If you believe it.
So we believe in aliens, but not that we've been to the moon.
Have you seen the footage? I'm a bit of a conspiracy theorist. Project Blue Book actually started out as Project Sign in 1948. This was when the Cold War tension was mounting, and they drew the initial conclusion that UFOs were just sophisticated Soviet aircraft.
Okay.
Some of the researchers, though, believed that these might be spacecraft from other worlds, which is where we got the extraterrestrial hypothesis that we talked about earlier.
Okay.
In 1949, Project Sign ended and Project Grudge began with the same objective. They had the same project, they just renamed it a bunch of times until they found, I guess, the coolest name. I don't know. And then in
It was a competition.
Then in 1952, we got Project Blue Book, which was headquartered out of Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio. Project Blue Book used two ways to classify sightings, either as identified with a known astronomical, atmospheric, or artificial, which is human-caused, phenomenon, or as unidentified. Project Blue Book investigated over 12,000 UFO sightings, most of which were explained away as natural or man-made phenomenon. However, there are around 700 sightings that remain unexplained to this day, fueling conspiracy theories and suspicions of government cover-ups.
Which I believe that happens all the time, so why wouldn't they cover that up too?
And that's just 700 sightings just from that time. Think of all the sightings that have been since then. I don't know. And I'm sure a lot of these sightings really are just like meteor showers or comets. They are naturally occurring things. But I don't know. I do know. I've witnessed it. I've never been abducted, though. I think that'd be cool.
Of course you would.
I don't want to be probed, but
it's not what I heard.
Anyway, the U.S. government took notice. In 1952, a series of mysterious UFOs were spotted over Washington, D.C., prompting military to scramble jets to intercept them.
Yeah, I'm
Of
sure.
course, once they get to D.C., then they're like, oh, we can't have this. The incident became known as the Washington National UFO Incident. The government...
They are so creative with their names.
The government attributed these sightings to temperature inversions in the air over the city. The temperature caused it. UFO reports continued to come in at a record speed. In response, the CIA got involved.
Of course they did.
And they established an expert panel of scientists to investigate. The head of the panel was H.P. Robertson, who was a physicist at the California Institute of Technology. HP recruited other members, including other physicists, an astronomer, and a rocket engineer. The panel met for
They brought in like the greatest minds of the time. Then.
And they did. The panel only met for 3 days to interview military officers, heads of Project Blue Book, and to review pictures and film of UFOs. At the end of their meeting, the Robertson panel drew some conclusions. The first was that 90% of the sightings were due to astronomical and meteorological phenomena.
Which that makes sense. I mean,
yeah, or earthly objects like aircraft, weather balloons, birds, searchlights. I would expect that 90% were.
Mm-hmm.
The astronomical and meteorological...
You're struggling with meteorological.
Yes, meteorological phenomena includes things such as bright planets and stars, meteors, and auroras. The panel's second conclusion was that there was no obvious security threat. So I'm sure that made the CIA happy.
Oh, I'm sure.
Their final conclusion was that there is no evidence to support the extraterrestrial hypothesis. So, which, I mean, I mean, some parts of it, I don't agree with the hypothesis fully, but I don't know. I think that they are a security threat. And I think our government thinks that too. I think they're just like lying to us.
I mean, that's pretty much their whole bag.
That is their MO.
Yeah.
A second committee was established in 1966 because the Air Force needed assistance reviewing the most interesting material they gathered with Project Blue Book. It took the committee 2 years to release results from this material they reviewed. 2 years to review footage and release their results.
That tells me they were like, yeah, rewind it. Let's see that again.
Like, it gives me faith that they didn't just rush through it.
Yeah.
They took their time with it. But I'm also like, why did it take you that long?
Yeah.
There were 59 UFO sightings in the report called the Scientific Study of Unidentified Flying Objects. 37 scientists investigated these cases and investigated them in detail for the report. They ultimately concluded that there was no evidence of a threat to national security and that they didn't find anything that warranted additional investigations. So all these people are saying that aliens are not a threat to national security.
Not that they aren't there, just that they're not a threat.
During this period, the media played a crucial role in spreading UFO lore. The films like The Day the Earth Stood Still and War of the Worlds captured the public's imagination, presenting extraterrestrial visitors as both a threat and a source of awe. In the 1960s, books like Chariots of the Gods by Eric von Däniken introduced the concept of ancient astronauts, aliens who may have visited Earth in the past and influenced human development, those ones we talked about earlier.
Yes.
Despite the military's insistence that UFOs posed no threat to national security, the public's fascination with the subject only grew. During the 1960s, the United States and other nations experienced waves of UFO sightings, further solidifying the belief that something unexplained was happening in our skies. Now let's talk about the most popular place when aliens are brought up, Area 51.
Yes.
In the 1950s...
Remember like 3 years ago when we were going to storm Area 51?
I'm ready to, Sil. Let's go.
Maybe it was 2020.
I think that they shoot you on sight if you do that.
I mean, that would make sense. They probably should.
Yeah. In the 1950s and 60s, many reports were coming in that UFOs were being spotted around a site that was historically used by the CIA, Air Force, and Lockheed Martin to test flights of experimental aircraft, also known as black aircraft. Area 51 was also where the program from the Cold War was based out of, called Oxcart, which was aimed at creating an undetectable spy plane to gather information from the Soviet Union. Their work at creating spy planes contributed to speculations that the facility was being used to experiment on aliens and their spacecraft.
Okay, but I'd believe that.
It's smart if that's what we were doing.
If we weren't, we should have been.
Right. As the 1970s unfolded, UFO sightings began to take a new twist. The focus shifted from simply seeing strange lights in the sky to claims of abductions. Perhaps the most famous of these claims was the Betty and Barney Hill abduction in 1961, in which the couple reported being taken aboard a UFO, examined, and then released. Their experience, which included detailed memories of being aboard a craft, set the stage for a decade of abduction reports.
Did you ever finish the South Park game?
No.
Did you ever get to the part where they went onto the alien ship?
No.
Okay, because that's all I'm thinking about this whole time we're sitting here. And I'm trying so hard not to just giggle. Because they probed and they probed hard.
Oh, well. I don't want to be probed, but, But no. This period also saw the rise of alien greys. Small, gray-skinned beings with large eyes who were said to be the primary creatures involved in UFO abductions.
That's what they look like on South Park, too! Maybe South Park knows something.
Maybe. If it was The Simpsons, I'd say yes, because The Simpsons tells the future.
That's true.
Books and films exploring these themes became mainstream, adding to the mystery and expanding the UFO narrative. Throughout the 80s and 90s, the story of UFOs continued to evolve, with the 1991 release of the Alien Autopsy film and growing reports of government cover-ups and secretive military operations.
Which I believe all of that.
The infamous Area 51 became the focal point for UFO conspiracy theories, with claims that it still housed alien technology and extraterrestrial beings. So we think that they're using their spacecraft to learn how to make our own secret spy spacecraft, and they're keeping those aliens there. I believe it. Because they're going to study them and see what they got inside. I don't know. I don't know if I believe that aliens are little gray men either. I think they look like regular people. And maybe that's just like their uniform.
Maybe.
Maybe I'm an alien.
Just like you're the Zodiac Killer and you're Ed Gein.
Let me unzip my costume here. As we entered the 21st century, UFO sightings didn't slow down. In fact, the phenomenon reached new levels of public visibility, especially with the rise of the internet and social media. People could now share their sightings and experiences with a global audience, leading to an increase in documented UFO sightings from all over the world.
All you have to do is go to TikTok today and click search aliens.
Right.
And you see video on video on video of
well,
potential.
Maybe not today. TikTok might be banned by the time this goes live.
Go to YouTube, search aliens.
In 2004, the U.S. military released footage of a mysterious flying object encountered by Navy pilots off the coast of California. The object, known as the Tic Tac UFO, baffled military personnel with its incredible speed and maneuverability. The Pentagon later confirmed the authenticity of the footage and revealed that the U.S. government had continued studying UFOs, albeit under different programs.
So they can be kind of honest.
Maybe. In 2020, the U.S. Department of Defense declassified a series of UFO-related videos, sparking renewed interest in the phenomenon. This announcement marked a major shift in the conversation about UFOs, with many experts now arguing that they may pose serious questions about advanced technology and even extraterrestrial life. One thing we really haven't talked about, though, too much is abductions. We talked about the one case. But over the years, many people claim to have been abducted by aliens. I want to share some real reports that have been made about abductions and sightings. So let's talk a little bit more about Betty and Barney Hill's abduction, because it is one of the most famous and well documented. The couple was driving home from vacation when they saw a bright light in the sky that seemed to follow them. After being blacked out for a period, they realized they'd been taken aboard a UFO, where they were subjected to medical examinations by beings with large black eyes and gray skin. Their account was corroborated by hypnosis sessions years later, which revealed further details on the experience. The case has since been a foundational part of UFO and abduction lore. Another case, often referred to as Britain's Roswell, the Rendlesham forest incident, involved multiple U.S. Air Force personnel stationed at RAF Woodbridge and RAF Bentwaters. Over the course of 3 nights, they reported seeing strange lights in the forest, followed by a close encounter with a metallic craft. One of the most striking reports came from Sergeant Jim Peniston, who claimed to have approached a craft and touched its surface, which was warm and covered in strange symbols. The incident was officially labeled as a misidentified aircraft or helicopter, but many witnesses, including Peniston, believe the encounter was with extraterrestrial visitors. Travis Walton was working with a logging crew when he saw a bright light in the sky as well. As he approached the light, he was struck by a beam of energy and knocked unconscious. When he woke up, he found himself aboard a UFO, surrounded by strange humanoid beings. Walton's story became famous when he was missing for 5 days. And upon his return, he told authorities that he had been aboard an alien aircraft.
Mushrooms are bad.
His story was initially met with skepticism But Walton passed multiple lie detector tests, which we know those aren't the most reliable. They're not reliable. The incident was later turned into the 1993 movie Fire in the Sky. Over in Melbourne, over 200 students and faculty members from the Westall School witnessed a saucer-shaped object in the sky that moved erratically. So it's not just in the United States. We got Britain, we got Australia. Some students followed the object, which then reportedly disappeared behind a cloud. Later, several witnesses claimed to have been questioned by the authorities and told not to talk about the sighting. The incident has never been fully explained, but it remains one of Australia's most famous UFO sightings. Years later, a number of witnesses still stand by all their accounts. Okay, last one. A group of United Airlines employees, including pilots and ground crew, witnessed a metallic disc-shaped object hovering over the terminal at O'Hare International Airport. I'm sorry, but a pilot would know if something was normal aircraft or not.
Mm-hmm.
The object was reportedly stationary for several minutes before it shot straight up at an incredible speed, leaving a hole in the clouds. Despite the large number of witnesses, the Federal Aviation Administration did not investigate the incident, stating that the phenomenon was likely caused by weather-related abnormalities. Many people, however, are convinced that what they saw was a UFO. And then there's like my personal encounter, which we talked about on the interview with Kaylee, but in case you haven't heard, her and I were coming back from a concert in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and that took us through St. Clairsville, Ohio. It was very late, maybe 12 or 1 a.m. Suddenly, all the cars on the interstate began stopping. So we followed suit.
On the interstate,
in the dark. Our eyes were glued to the sky because there was a large lit up object just floating there. And it was, I believe it was red, if I'm remembering correctly, a bright red object in the sky. It wasn't moving. And then it just zipped away. And we all just put our cars back and drive and left. But it was just the strangest thing, and I have no explanation for it. It wasn't a plane. I mean, I guess it could have been a weather balloon. I don't know. I've never seen one, but it doesn't sound like a weather balloon. And it definitely wasn't a meteor.
right? Because a meteor's not just going to hang in the air.
Right. So what can we conclude about the history of UFOs? The story of UFOs is a complex, multifaceted tale that spans centuries, with each decade adding new layers to the mystery. Whether it's ancient myths, modern sightings, or government investigations, the phenomenon continues to evolve. But one thing remains constant: the question of whether we are truly alone in the universe persists. And UFOs remain a symbol of our quest for answers. The truth is out there, and as technology advances and our understanding of the cosmos deepens, the story of UFOs will undoubtedly continue to unfold. Will we finally find the answers we seek, or will the mystery just remain that, a mystery? It's not a mystery to me.
I think that aliens, the whole subject of it, is so fun and whimsical that I love hearing all about it. But like when I really think about it, like how else do you explain half of those instances? You can't.
Right. I don't know, man.
I've never seen one or seen anything that made me think. But I've seen some people that could have been gray aliens.
Yeah, and we'll have to put in that clip that Kaylee sent me from another a UFO sighting in our hometown. I don't want to reveal where she lives, but our hometown was full of UFO sightings way back then.
Yeah, didn't you guys say that even the FBI came in after one of them or something?
There was a lot of sightings. The FBI came in to investigate, or maybe it was the CIA after learning all of this. You know, it was some kind of government agency came in, and I'll do a screen recording so you can put in Kaylee's video here.
What do you guys think? Have you ever seen a UFO or an alien? Let us know down in the comments below. If you made it this far, leave us an alien emoji.
Yeah. Even if that's not what they really look like.
Yeah, but it's like the universal accepted. Like this is what the mythical creature at least looks like. Make sure you guys head on over to TikTok and Instagram at Spooky Sleuths Pod. That is assuming that TikTok is
if
still
TikTok is still a thing.
Yeah. If not, just make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel because we will ultimately be utilizing the shorts option more often if we wind up not being able to utilize TikTok. Because YouTube isn't going anywhere.
No. Make sure you if you're listening over on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts, make sure you leave us a rate and review. On Spotify, you can also leave us a comment with an alien emoji.
And on that note,
Stay spooky, friends.